platform. This conversation, will take us to so many places. We're going to see what is going on, and don't forget to like and share. Leave a comment if you have any questions for me. We are going to pick the topics one after the other and have a real conversation on what is going on in the United States. The first point: Hamas have accepted to continue negotiations in light of the recent proposal by the US President Donald Trump, who also went further to say that Israel have accepted the proposal. So they have sent this to the representatives of Hamas or those intermediaries and hoping to get a reply from them. So today, in fact, yesterday, they got a positive response from the leadership of Hamas, saying that they have looked at the proposal positively and they are hoping that they can continue negotiations with the representatives of Washington D.C. and the representatives of the Israeli side. So Hamas says it's ready to start talks immediately on a ceasefire in Gaza after Israel's offensive have taken out over 50 people, and this is according to Gaza Civil Defense uh, Department. So in Washington, D.C., which is the other side of the story I also want to look at, US President Donald Trump have signed his sweeping tax and spending bill, enshrining his top policy priorities into law, despite controversy over deep cuts to social safety programs and concerns over rising national debt. One big, beautiful bill. So my question for you guys today is, what is your opinion on the fact that Congress decided to acquiesce to the position of the U.S. President Donald Trump without asking any question? All these members of Congress was put in place by you. You guys elected them and voted for them. And the fact that they are doing their own bidding without doing the bidding of the American people is crazy. Because in that bill as well, would also empower them, to give them a lot of incentives. It's a corrupt system. So no matter what you think about America, people want to model their government in the style of the United States, this kind of federal system, capitalist, liberal, democratic model. It has a lot of flaws. And we are seeing that in real time. It's about the leadership, the way of leadership in the US is more of showmanship than merit. It's more of showmanship than merit. And this is why you have Trump in power today, because he's charismatic. People like him. I mean, a lot of people like him, a lot of people don't. But his support base, largely rural, most of them middle age to people in their 50s and so on and so forth. And quite a lot of them as well don't really have uh, the level of education. Not all of them, because I hear these things being banded around that the support base of Donald Trump are mostly women in rural areas, the white. So the whole idea of profiling does not add up, because a lot of people voted for him. So if the argument is that it's only white, uneducated women that voted for him, he wouldn't have won the election. People across board did vote for him, and this is why he's been able to, have this sweeping win during the course of the election. But people were tired with Biden as well. The leadership of Biden was, drove the country to going towards the other direction. It was the leadership of Biden. So you guys can blame whoever voted for Trump at this point. But I mean, look at what happened before Trump came to power. Of course, people were warning that Trump is not the best alternative. But who else do you have? Do you want to continue with Biden and Kamala Harris? 4 years of these guys in power was hell for everybody. I mean, I don't live in the US, but those in the US, economic problems, so many issues, including their foreign policy, was a disaster. So the fact that fast balling it, I quit fast balling it. No, I'm not fast balling. I'm just giving my opinion on what I think. And the fact that they are saying, oh, well, the reason why Trump won is because of this white, middle aged American women, that don't have the requisite education and so on and so forth. And they just voted for him because, for whatever reason, there's no way a woman, less, there's no way a woman, much less a black woman, could have won the presidency. Well, you can also make that argument. So you're saying that the Democrats made a wrong choice without doing their real calculation and trusting the American system to be egalitarian enough to have elected and voted for a black woman. I understand what you're saying. The calculation, sometimes when you go too left, it becomes a problem. And I'm sure the Democrats also have themselves to blame. If they have thrown it open for primaries, it could have been a different outcome. But well, this is the game, when there's a lot of corruption and people are doing their own bidding and hoping that Kamala could be a sellable candidate. Clearly turned out that she wasn't. She's not that. Um, she was struggling. Even some of her engagement with the press, it has been hell. So the idea that somehow she's going to be accepted. So what do you guys think as well about Iran? So Iran have come out to say that they are not happy with Russia, particularly the fact that Russia did not come out to defend them well enough or even take diplomatic steps to play a role in helping Iran during the course of this U.S. Israeli attack on Iran. I was looking at one video recently, and I'm going to stitch that video. So this is a guy from I'm trying to play it in a second. So this guy is from, I think it's an Afro, it's a black guy from Israel, and I want you guys to listen to what he said. What's poppin'? So today's video is for my black brothers and sisters who scream free Palestine. I'd like to tell you about a place called Alabid. Alabid means the slave in Arabic. The 15,000 plus black people that live in Gaza live in a place called Alabid, which is known as the slave quarters. Women have reported that they are chosen as second, third, and oftentimes fourth wives, never the first, not due to religious reasons, but based on racial biases. Black people in Palestine face racial discrimination, job discrimination, and often marriage bans. They're not even allowed to marry the same way as regular Palestinians. Now, if I, as a black person, went to a pro-Palestinian protest and looked to my right and saw the former Grand Wizard of the KKK, looked to my left David and Duke. Saw a Proud Boy or a neo-Nazi, I would feel that I was in the wrong place. Well, all of these things I just stated happen in real life. They really went to these protests. And I would begin to think as a person, well, if you truly believe in freedom for all people, should that not include the black Palestinians? Should that not include women? Should that not include children? Because they don't have these rights in Gaza and in Palestine. Do you know where they do have these rights? In Israel. And it blows my mind that the one place. Well, this is the part that I disagree with him. I mean, most of what he said is accurate, by the way. And we will address that and talk about that. But him saying that you have all these opportunities in Israel is as well not accurate in my opinion. And yeah, I'm going to probably stitch this video and give my opinion. Non the cloth. You said you wanted to come up and talk about. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, so let's talk about the big beautiful bill and the implications of the big beautiful bill. What do you think? Um, why is Trump able to push through this bill? Does it have anything to do with like Congress and corruption? Is this the true reflection of what the American people want? And what will be the impact? What will be the social fallout from this? Would there be some kind of protest? Yeah, so I saw the report from the alligator Alcatraz that the swampy area that he was proposing to build, like some kind of shelter for for people that came into the country illegally, keep them there, or those that they want to deport, they'll keep them there until they're sent back to third countries or the countries where they came from. It's crazy, and I saw that the place got flooded. Yeah, and by the way, he's trying to resuscitate. Alcatraz prison. And what's your opinion on that as well? Is this also contained in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill? Mhm. Yeah, it's insane. And this, when it comes to act of parliament, it's difficult to most of these things that have been passed easily because they control the House and Senate. It's difficult to overturn. Maybe in the next 40 years, 50 years, it might be impossible to overturn because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for Congress, because a lot of times you get maybe minority, you have like some kind of balance in both house, and in some cases, even some people in his own party will not agree with him. But what we are seeing is that all of them agreeing with him. And I even heard that some Democrats, gave it a green light, or I don't know, I'm not really sure about that. But the fact that it was passed easily in less than 24 hours, and most of these things are structural changes. It's insane. If it's like some kind of presidential edit, or what they call decree, this would have been easy to overturn, and another president can come and abrogate it. But this is act of parliament. It's like it's a congressional act. So, which area do you think that this will affect most? Is it healthcare? Is it other social service area of social services? Are you there? It's my internet. I think it's coming from you. I'm not sure my internet is that bad. Yeah, who's Good. Yeah, because it's not a true representation of the wills and the aspirations of the people. What? Who the hell is this? Oh my God. Well, 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 well. Yeah, meanwhile, the Kremlin says it takes Trump's statement seriously but remains committed to achieving Russia's objective in the Ukraine conflict. Following Trump's complaints over slow peace progress, Trump and Putin held a 1 hour call covering Ukraine, Iran, Middle East tensions, and the Russia US cooperation. Um, what do you guys think about that as well? They had a phone conversation that went on for over 1 hour, with Trump again making demands about Ukraine, and the Russians saying, well, 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 no, 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 we have our objectives. Russia is calling, and Russia's position is simple. They want a complete annexation of those, I think, 4 or 5 regions: Luhansk, Donetsk, Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and I forgot the other one, but the Donbass. So basically, the Russians have set their objectives, and Europe wants to come and help Ukraine. We are hearing that Germany might deploy troops on the ground soon. We are hearing that the Germans will be coming to fight against Russia. Good luck with that. And they want to send the Taurus system to Ukraine. Look, sending all that stuff to Ukraine is not going to make any difference. The Russians are seeing what is happening, and this open diplomacy is not helping anything. I think they are using it to show up their, support for Ukraine, and to basically put pressure on the Russians if that will work. So I think Merz is the current chancellor, the same guy that told us that Israel was doing the dirty job of the West. that Israel was helping the West to do their dirty job, and that the Europeans should support Israel. And this was in response to the Israeli attack on Iran. And we'll talk about that as well. What do you guys think about the ceasefire agreement that Trump is proposing, and also claiming that that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, have also accepted? Yeah, the Germans. Yeah, the Germans are trying to go on the field as well. So, Russia's Ukraine objective versus U.S. pressure. Now, Kremlin says it takes Trump's statement seriously, but prioritize its Ukraine goals. Trump expressed being unhappy with the lack of peace and progress, and Putin and Trump held a 1 hour call discussing Ukraine, Iran, Middle East tensions, and Russia-U.S. cooperation. Let's talk about China. What is going on in China, guys? The Xi Jinping will not attend the 17th BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Like I said, which will start in less than 24 hours on the 5th of July 2025. And it was rumors of political purge or potential replacement within China's leadership. This comes amid tightening domestic political climate in China. Um, well, there's this lady that I follow on YouTube, and she was talking about the same thing today, that Zhang Yujia have also made new moves, purging like the head of the navy and some of the leaders of the rocket force. Because how did all of this begin? It started from a scandal within the rocket force. This whole stuff started with one scandal in the rocket force. I think the defense, Li Shangfu. I remember I think last year or the year before, Li Shangfu was in Russia, and he was, I think, the defense minister or chief or somebody in that capacity at that time, and he visited Russia. Was welcomed by the Russian president, and the prime minister, and they gave him this warm welcome. And the fact that within that period to now, because last year I know he was purged last year, he was removed from office in relations to the scandal, to the rocket force scandal. You guys need to check what happened with the rocket force. So Xi Jinping's goal and ambition is that by 2020, between 2025 and 2027, the invasion of Taiwan will happen. So they have been building up their army. He's been in power since 2013. In fact, he's been the head of the CCP and the president of China and the head of the Chinese armed forces since right around that period. And he has, it's an enormous task that one person is carrying out. And his style of leadership is sort of different from the one of Hu Jintao, who talks about collective leadership within the party. For Xi Jinping, it's a one-man show. So he has been promoting his close confidants and the people around him, that have been very supportive of his policies. But in China, it has not. Some of his policies have not been popular. We can talk about his COVID policy. We can talk about some of the economic reform, some of the ghost cities that they have built. Some of these cities are, they call ghost cities. You go there, it's huge place. There's nobody living there. It's crazy what is happening. And the fact that this experiment is now failing, and they have to be very careful on how they try to remove him from power, because if they do it publicly and they humiliate him or try to do it in some kind of African style military coup, it's going to have a blowback. I need to have a lot of I'll say, because there are a lot of foreign companies in China, and they have to be very careful on how they treat this situation. And she is not willing to exit the scene yet, so they are trying to manage him out carefully until their next CCP convention, which will happen on the 1st or the 2nd of August 2025. So he will not be attending. The Chinese president Xi Jinping will not be attending the summit, the BRICS summit, which will happen on the 5th of July 2025. He will not be there. And China is the major player in BRICS. We talk about BRICS. You cannot talk about BRICS without China. China is the most important player in BRICS. So at the end of the day, if they are not going to, if China is not going to be in the center stage, it might leave a lot of doubt as per the project. When if you want to talk about the alternative to the SWIFT system, the Chinese development, the BRICS Development Bank, and so on and so forth, it is not possible without China. So China is the eyes and the ears and the center figure of the BRICS project. So a lot of them are worried, but the prime minister will be the Chinese premier will be representing the president in that event. So let's look at other updates and what is going on as well. Um, some say Putin. This is from Poland, by the way. They say President Putin is mocking Trump. This is according to Poland. So, Foreign Minister Radoslav Siborski have urged the U.S. to renew military aid to Ukraine after the latest Russian airstrikes. So the foreign minister Radoslav Sikorski has claimed Russia's President Vladimir Putin is mocking the U.S. counterpart Donald Trump. Um, Trump's peace initiative, the top Polish diplomat took on X on Friday to respond to a series of overnight Russian missile strikes in Ukraine, drone production facilities, an airfield, and oil refinery, which Moscow said was a response to terrorist attacks by the Kiev regime. Of course, the Russians have intelligence, and this is why they are targeting some of those drone manufacturing and production facilities. I mean, the Ukrainians are not really producing drones, but they are coupling drones. They are buying parts from China, and they are getting some of these components from the West and from China and coupling them and putting them together and using them on the front line. And Russia is targeting those key infrastructures, in Kiev and in the west of Ukraine, where they are producing most of these drones. Um, Another thing I also want us to look at is, which is also a very important update, is in relation to the big beautiful bill. Let's look at what is going on there with the big beautiful bill. Trump calls it the one big beautiful bill. So before we do that, Hamas says that it has delivered positive response on Gaza ceasefire plan. And I mean, have you guys seen the scene in Gaza? It's been destroyed, it's dust and rubble. Israel is constantly carrying out these airstrikes, across Gaza. Hamas says it has delivered a positive response to mediators on the latest proposal for a new Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal put forward by the US. The Palestinian armed group added in a statement that it was seriously ready to enter immediately into the round of negotiations. A senior Palestinian official familiar with the talks told the BBC that Hamas accepted the general framework but have requested several key amendments, including a US guarantee that hostilities will not resume. And this is the most important part. Look, they have accepted most of the tenets of the deal, but the other part is that Israel is asking the US, specifically saying that it should have guarantees or some kind of backstop to go back into Gaza if they want. So this is what they're saying, that they must be guaranteed for Israel to resume hostilities in the light of what we saw before. We have seen some of these forces before, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and so on and so forth. And immediately Israel is able to get back some of their hostages. They will say, oh, well, we demand the complete capitulation of Gaza. We demand the complete expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza. We demand this and demand that. And they use that as a casus belli to resume hostilities. So, although the H group is saying that they are more than willing to accept the position, they are more than willing to negotiate, to talk about the tenets of the agreement positively, meaning they are willing to accept the deal for a ceasefire. Of course, they want that. And of course, they want to release the hostages. But Israel is saying that they want to resume hostilities as soon as they get back their hostages. And um, this is what Hamas said they are not going to buy. I mean, what's the need of going for 60 days and Israel resuming the hostilities again? Because, of course, and these are political calculations by Bibi. He wants to stay in power. He wants to drag this out for as long as possible. This is the permutation. This is his calculation. After 60 days again, if there's any tendency towards the collapse of government in Israel, the domestic behavior of different actors within the state is what is prolonging this conflict. Whether in America, whether in Israel and the European capitals, they are using this as a game. They are using this as a chess game, and they are, I don't know why they're trying to prolong this conflict for, I don't know, maybe for 3, 4 years. The Israel said at the beginning it was going to last 3 weeks. We've gone on for 2 years now, and the hostilities continue. And the Europeans are not even bothered. If you notice, before the whole so-called attack on Iran, some European capitals were putting pressure on Israel and asking them to, that they have to end the conflict at this point. There was even sanctions placed on Ben Gavir and Smotrich, and eventually they decided, well, it's none of our business. You guys can go back to doing what you want, because Israel again will find a way to deflect, and the Europeans don't care. I mean, their own citizens can see clearly that they have lost any kind of credibility. So let's look at the other updates. Texas flood death tolls rise to 24 with up to 25 children missing. Let's see what is happening in the United States of America. Texas flood. So Texas flood death toll rise to 24 with over 25 children missing. Wow. If you look at the flood, it's crazy what is going on in America. Houses being swept away, cars, everything destroyed. There's a long line of officials that have taken questions from reporters. They have been asked why evacuation orders weren't issued given the luge expected in the area. The live feed has been a little patchy, so there's been hard to tell who's speaking at times. Let's see. The Texas governor calls for prayers as death toll rises. Governor Greg Abbott has continued to call for prayers as search and rescue operations continue through the region alongside the Guadalupe River. This is a time where the states, as a community, need God more than ever, Abbott said at the press conference. Officials have said a group of children are still missing from Camp Mystic, a local campground that was hosting about 700 school age girls. Wow, it's crazy. No estimate of total number of people missing. So the one we have now is just a rough figure. We don't know the total estimate of the number of people missing as a result of this. Um, More than 20 girls still missing from summer camp. 237 people rescued so far. 24 people have been confirmed dead. Um, Search will continue around the clock. This is according to the governor. It's crazy. What do you want Xi to do? They already held peace talks among the Palestinian factions. Well. It's not about Palestine. This is not about Palestine. I mean, look at what I said. Xi Jinping is missing. It has nothing to do with him. This is the political situation in China that is getting has been gaining attention steadily for the past 3 or 4 months. In fact, since last year. So there are rumors swirling around that the Chinese President Xi Jinping is possibly under house arrest. So there's a real possibility that the Chinese President Xi Jinping is currently under house arrest, and that the people around him have been purged, meaning they have been kicked out in some kind of soft military coup, if you like. But the party itself is trying to keep everything steady, until the next CCP convention, which will happen next month, during the early period of next month. And with that, they can do some kind of transfer of power, either with some kind of arrangement that will guarantee Xi Jinping's continued existence, in the political space, or his, slow withdrawal from politics, and the guarantee that they will not do anything to him and his children, and so on and so forth. So, and the people that are working behind the scenes, the former president Hu Jintao, and the former prime minister Wen Jiabao. In fact, Wen Jiabao has been the more active one. The president Hu Jintao, the former president, have not really been well, but he has also been. There have been talks of him. At some point, they said he has stroke, he died, and so on and so forth. So for all of them to emerge at this point down to begin to target Xi Jinping or work with the most powerful guy in China right now is the the army guy. It's called Zhang Yujia. That's the name. So if you look at that topic I have there with Xi Jinping missing, um, I'm not saying it's missing literally, but politically something is going on in China, and we have to watch out for what is happening in China. Yeah, what's up? I'm good. Where you from? Huh? Oh, Africa. Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about politics, so I can mute you while I continue talking, if that's okay. Yep. All right. So basically, so when I was talking about Xi Jinping missing, I wasn't saying that he's, missing literally, or he's not, contributing to whatever conversation is happening about Gaza, about international politics, about Israel and Iran. All of that is also, important in the scheme of things. But politically, he's done. In less than 1 month, we might see him out of office because there's a serious possibility that he'll be kicked out. There's a real possibility that he'll be kicked out and be replaced by. I mean, there are a few candidates that their name have been banded around, and we can talk about that if you want. What else? Now, Iran. We've also seen the statement coming from Iran, kicking out the inspectors, the nuclear inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, saying they are no longer welcome. If you follow the story and the trajectory, the International Atomic Energy Agency report talking about Iran enriching uranium to over 60% was what gave the green light to Israel to attack. I mean, the Israelis have always been saying they want to attack. And the fact that that report came out at the end of the meeting and the conversation between them and the Americans that proved to be negative, with Iran willing to go to fresh um, batch of negotiations, which was happening in Oman. Let's not forget that President Trump said he was giving them just 1 month. So it was the end of that 1 month. So America at that point was also on a war footing. And they had a conversation with Israel, probably talked behind the scene and gave the Israelis the green light to carry out strategic strikes. Well, if you carry out attacks against Iran, of course, Iran was going to hit back. And the fact that Iran made it very clear that they are going to strike them back, Israel decided to, maintain some kind of presence in Iranian airspace. So it's basically a declaration of war. And we saw what Iran was able to do to them. So all that, China was nowhere to be found. But China did do something which is now agreed to retire some of their J-10Cs, which can compete favorably with the F-16 and kick them out of the sky. So if Iran had the J-10Cs, Israel would not have been able to, patrol over their skies like they did during the course of that operation, and their air defense system as well. They bought paid for most of these things from Russia a long time ago, and Russia refused to deliver them for whatever reason.